Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Film Feast, where I am still catching up with old news. That's why it's the Film Feast Catch-Up Edition. Yeah, I'm using the same joke twice, because I like the picture. Deal with it. Luckily for me, the topic in this episode has evolved over the last couple of weeks, which allows me the chance to talk about the whole story and also cover weeks worth of film news. And the topic for this episode is the Marvel Studios Daredevil series for Netflix and where it stands. To preface, you probably already know most of this information, but I still want to talk about everything that's happened over the past couple of weeks. First, we must go back a whole month to the end of April, where Marvel's editor-in-chief Joe Quesada went on Kevin Smith's podcast. Quesada said of the show, as well as the 3 other planned Netflix shows, that they will exist in the same world as the Marvel Cinematic Universe. He went on to say that these series will feel a lot more grounded in comparison to the big, bombastic Marvel movies. He made the point to say that Marvel isn't trying to do The Dark Knight. They're not trying to make this overtly gritty world that all these characters exist in. They're just trying to tell superhero stories from a sort of an eye level, which I overall like. I think it's great that they're not trying to make these characters these bigger than life heroes like Iron Man or Thor. They're people. But I think that still begs the question, how much of the Marvel Cinematic Universe in the events that take place within it will bleed into these series, and how much of it will we actually see? It should be noted that all of these series will mostly take place in New York City, and obviously that's where the biggest set piece of the Avengers, the Chitauri invasion, happened. So how much of that do we see in these series? My guess? Probably not that much. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was the show that had to directly handle all of these events that happened in the movies, so why would they need to cross any of that over into these series when they don't really need to tell the story? I, for one, am excited to see how they're going to handle each of these heroes individually, because they are all wildly different. What I think Marvel is doing with these smaller series is really good. I think it's smart, and I think it's the best possible way to tell the stories for these characters. I don't think that they need big blockbuster films. They need the particular style for their story to be told. Now, let's focus back in on Daredevil. Originally, Drew Goddard was planned to direct all the episodes as well as write and executive produce. And as you may know, he was recently picked up by Sony for the Sinister Six film. I was really hoping that he would stick around to still make this Daredevil series happen, but just recently, he left. He left his role as director and writer of most of the series. He wrote the first 2 episodes, and he will remain the executive producer, but that is a shell of his former role on this series. This news came right, and I mean right on the tail of the news that Edgar Wright and Marvel had gone in different directions, or rather that Edgar Wright just straight up left the project, which that's a different story. I'm not even going to touch that right now. That's for few videos later. But I don't think that Drew Goddard's leaving this Daredevil series should be taken the same way that people took the Edgar Wright leaving Ant-Man. While it still sucks, I really don't think it's for the same reason. A lot of people were citing that Goddard and Marvel had creative differences. Until I see it in black and white, I don't buy it. And I don't buy that Goddard is this, artiste with this singular vision for this series that he just has to have happen, and Marvel was just like, no, we need this to happen for our big plan. Ant-Man is a different situation. It's a movie. Marvel has a lot more stock in that stuff. I mean, honestly, if Marvel really had stock in their television series, I think that they would have handled Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. a little bit better. I just think that Goddard saw that the Sinister Six was going to take up most of his time, so he walked. So who did Marvel choose to replace Drew Goddard? They chose Stephen DeKnight, showrunner and executive producer for Spartacus. And that news is exciting, I suppose. I haven't watched any of Spartacus, but I've heard fairly positive things about it, and I am mildly intrigued to get into it. And from what I've been reading online, people are very, very satisfied with this choice. So Marvel was very quick to pick themselves back up from that fiasco, but they didn't stop there. Just a few days later, Latino Review posted a rumor that actor Charlie Cox would portray Daredevil, or the man behind the mask, Matt Murdock. And just later that day, it was confirmed that Charlie Cox would be the lead. Charlie Cox is best known for his role on Boardwalk Empire, a show that I haven't watched at least a couple episodes of the first season, and Stardust, a movie that I haven't seen. And yes, I do want to watch all those things, but just looking at the picture of Charlie Cox, he doesn't read Matt Murdock to me, and maybe that's because I'm so used to Ben Affleck in the role. Please, put your stones down. I'm willing to give this guy a chance, of course, but I always imagined Daredevil as one of those constantly sad characters where it's raining forever and he just can't get over himself. But like I said, I've never seen anything that he's in, which leaves a lot of room for ignorance, so hopefully I'll get to see something that he's in before the Daredevil show comes out. And I'm excited for the show. I'm still excited despite the fact that Goddard isn't on it anymore. And I think the show still has a lot of potential to be good. But I want to know what you guys think. Are you excited for the show in the first place? Are you upset that Drew Goddard, the director behind The Cabin in the Woods, isn't going to be taking on The Man Without Fear? Are you stoked on Stephen DeKnight taking over for Goddard? Are you happy that Charlie Cox was their choice for Matt Murdock? Really, all of these questions, you should answer them down there, not in my lap, but down in the comments section. This whole catching up process has taken a lot longer than I had anticipated. A few side projects have cropped up that I really do need to work on. You know, it's gonna take the Film Feast some time to get back into shape. But when it does get back into shape, oof, it's gonna be good. Join me for the next episode of the Film Feast, where I will be talking about the Star Wars Episode 7 casting. Yeah!